Blackline Brief starts now.
What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of the Blackline Brief. I'm your host, Matthew McKim, and we have a good show planned for you today. All right, my monitor's up and running. I was like, that's why my arm was pulling out. I was like, don't go to sleep on me. I need it to be up. Well, you guys, I'm sure if you've been paying attention to the news, as of last night, the Tyler Robinson defense team did file their response to the prosecution's Bindover brief, right? That's their summation, their main arguments to the Judge Graff, to, that they feel that it has met all, measures of probable cause and should go to trial, right? We went through some of it last night. Depending on how much time we have today and how you guys are feeling, we can go through some more of that and the defense's response. But I also can just answer questions and break it down for you guys as well. The other main thing that I wanted to cover today was all of the talking heads. Okay. I was able to watch and listen to Baron Coleman's breakdown of the defense's response to the Bindover brief. And, him being kind of an expert on this, he's a former lawyer. It was very valuable to listen to, because this morning I was on X and we were talking about it amongst us on X, and there were some lawyers on there as well that gave their opinion, and they felt that, the defense cared more about the, aggravating charges, which put the death penalty on the table. Some of the other arguments were that it was, typed up as an appellate, brief, like an appeals brief, instead of an actual response to the prosecution. I like Baron's response, and then I did some more digging on my own as well, where, because the preliminary hearing, the judge has to look at things more as in, more favorable to the prosecution. Also, the judge is accepting, and both parties are accepting, that the evidence that's presented thus far is truthful and honest. The defense is not going to argue each point, right? So like when the prosecution says, the evidence shows Tyler Robinson walking on the roof, they're not going to use this time in their response to argue that that wasn't substantiated. So that kind of was some of the main arguments against the defense's response, was that they conceded too many aspects of which were present in the prosecution's Bindover brief, right? And I agree that it seemed, that the prosecution was making claims, as they have done this whole time, referencing evidence as if the evidence actually showed Tyler Robinson, when it doesn't show anyone specific. You have to assume, you have to read into and make a huge jump that, and even when I was on an X Space today with Gary Melton, he says that the still photographs of inside of the garage, the parking garage, or the still photographs of Eagle Boy walking down the stairs, up the stairs to the Losi Center, he says that he is able to positively identify that individual as Tyler Robinson. And I was like, come on, let's be honest. The closest you could get is that it looks like a 20-something-year-old, maybe Caucasian. I say maybe because the person could, he has olive, darker tan skin. Tyler Robinson did not have that complexion at the time of September 10th, nor does he have it now, but he's been indoors this whole time. So, but at the end of the summer, even then, he didn't have olive tan skin. So, but that's not the only reason why I think that those photos don't show Tyler Robinson. There's a slew of reasons why I feel the person in all of the surveillance footage does not show that it's Tyler Robinson. The closest you could get is that it possibly shows a male around that age, size, and weight. That's as best as you can get. But the surveillance footage on top of the Losi Center most definitely shows no defining characteristics as to who that person is. You can't tell if that's a man, a woman, Tyler Robinson, Lance Twiggs, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi. It could be anybody. We don't know. You know, even Benny Johnson said early on that out of all the surveillance footage, whether that's the video or the still photographs, you can't identify if it's a man or a woman, right? Donald Trump said it is basically useless. The footage that was released in the early stages during the investigation, which is all the things being put forth in those preliminary hearing evidence, the different pieces of evidence that are videos and photographs were much of what we saw early on. Only some were new to us by the time we got to the preliminary hearing. Nonetheless, none of them definitively show any one particular individual, and most certainly it doesn't show Tyler Robinson. So, all right, you guys, hopefully I feel better, but I'm still under the weather. But with these briefs, you know, the defense's response to the prosecution's brief, I felt like it was very important that I at least do a show today, bring what I think is important to you guys, give you my take on it, but also show you that they're still convicting Tyler Robinson through the media. Okay. Andrew Colvett, Blake Neff, Brandon Tatum, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, Graham Allen, they all came out today. And I even got to speak with Baron Coleman a little bit. He was on an X Space. He might still be on an X Space, where he, and I agree that the arguments being made by like Gary Melton and all the people I just named, that the defense conceded, that the defense admitted, that the defense doesn't argue, all but agrees that Tyler Robinson is the person in those videos and photos, that it's Tyler Robinson who shot the Mauser. And, you know, they are 100% tainting the jury pool and eroding whatever remains of Tyler Robinson's presumption of innocence. You know, I'll do better at muting my cough button today. But another weird thing that happened today, I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up on here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Ow, I hit my elbow. Stupid table. Let's see if I can email myself the video that I recorded of something that happened online today when I was watching Baron Coleman. And I didn't even realize like kind of what a big deal this might even be until I was telling people in the X Space, and then they were like, wait, what's going on? And then I took photos of it and a video of it, and I can share that with you guys as well, which was super insane. And I'll explain it in a second is once I send it to myself. Oh, is it not going to let me send it because I didn't download it? It's not going to let me send it. I guess I might just have to explain it to you. Oh, I can send it. Let's see. How do I attach a... Hold on. Let me delete this one. Discard. Maybe I'll just send the still photograph, and then I can explain it to you guys. It's not letting me send the actual video. Sorry. And then I can explain it. All right. I sent that. I guess that might be a good place to start because it doesn't really... Well, I guess it fits into everything because I was watching Baron Coleman break down the Bindover brief and the defense's response. And what happened was super, super sus. Let me pull it up. I need to get a new tab open. Give me a second. All right. So, and if you need to actually see the video, I posted it on my X. All right. Oh, I'm going to have to go side by side. And then I might just have to make it. Why is it doing that? I don't know. All right. Give me a second. Because that's not going to be big enough for you guys to see. So I'm going to need to go like this. All right. So in this video, or in this photograph, hold on, is Baron Coleman, and down below it says Charlie Kirk. And what was really interesting was, so it's Baron Coleman's video. I was watching him live, and I didn't even notice it until later, where I was trying to kind of give a breakdown on the X space of what it was. And it showed the Charlie Kirk show information underneath it. And I was like, what? I don't know how that could even happen. Who here did not watch Baron? Oh, I did. Yeah. And underneath it, it said the Charlie Kirk show, and then all of the Charlie Kirk show information. And even the transcript for the video was all about the Charlie Kirk show, but it was Baron Coleman's video. And so I don't know. We sent that over. That was just something that was super sus and super weird. I don't know if it's YouTube that was doing something. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Mystic. I'll get back to you on that question. Yeah, if you can send it. It could be YouTube messing around. It could be a glitch. But it also could be something TPUSA is doing. Okay. It's super weird that it was Baron's video and that it happened to be the Charlie Kirk show that's linked underneath with the Charlie Kirk show title and everything else. And it was their views, their subscriber numbers, their merch store, but it was Baron's video. And yeah, that was just super weird. And then what was the other part of it? Yeah, when I copied the URL at the top and then I put it in another tab, it brought up Andrew Colvin and Blake's Neff video, which was much later. I had Baron Coleman open live. He went live at like 12 p.m. my time, and I had paused it and went downstairs, had done nothing else, came back up, and that's when I noticed it when I was doing an X space, trying to give them a rundown of what Baron had covered, and noticed it. So I don't know how it could have crossed and mixed those up. The fact that it's TPUSA and Baron makes it more weird that TPUSA could be doing something super weird. And that, yeah. And then when I hit the refresh button on that tab, it refreshed it to Andrew Colvin and Blake's Neff video. And like I said, when I copied the URL and put it over, it copied it into, or it took me to Andrew Colvin and Blake's Neff video about this defense's response. So I don't know. I'm not a tech person. I have no idea. There's some people that were like, yeah, that's super sus. Other people are like, there's glitches. YouTube does do that. That could happen. So I don't know. I just thought it was, and I'm not the only one that thought it was weird, you know? So, all right, but let's get here. Let's start with this guy.
The defense in the Tyler Robinson case dropped a response to the state's motion when it comes to probable cause, upcoming September 1st hearing. And wow, we've got to cover it. So we've blown open the top of the show here. We're going to cover what the defense is now stating in the Tyler Robinson case. Then we're going to have Ron Johnson talking about Fauci's text in the state of Wisconsin. We have Tom Tiffany. So it's a great show in store for you, but we've got to start here, Blake. This is a defense response to the state's motion regarding probable cause in the preliminary hearing. It's the Bindover. It's the argue for that. And we have so much to get through. And Blake, you have been reading voraciously this morning, trying to get the entire brief under your belt here. But let's just start with this clip from, actually, it's Fox News. It's an attorney on the ground that's reading it. We'll start there and get your response, Blake, on the other side. SOT 22.
Attorneys representing Charlie Kirk's accused assassin filing a brief last night. They argue he should not go on trial for murder. Here's the reason. They're arguing that much of the prosecution's case was based on hearsay testimony from Tyler Robinson's roommate. That's the case they're making.
Well, the apparent defense strategy here isn't to prove that Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk, but that he didn't intend to kill anyone else, and that therefore this should not be a death penalty case. Filing, Robinson's lawyers argued the state has failed to establish probable cause that the shooter knowingly created a great risk of death to another other than Charlie Kirk and himself.
Exactly.
That is a bombshell.
It is.
To me, that's a bombshell.
What stands out, so this just...
They are going to frame everything and misrepresent everything that the defense, responded to. Okay. And if you haven't watched Baron Coleman's breakdown of the defense's response to the Bindover briefing from the prosecution, watch it later. All right. We'll cover a lot of it today. And when we get later on in the show, you guys let me know if you guys want to actually, I have both documents and we can look at them and we could discuss them. But a couple things unique to, I think that they chose Utah for a lot of reasons, right? The ability to have either open or concealed carry on this college campus, the very unique nature of hearsay being allowed in the preliminary hearing, which is literally like all of the key aspects of this case against Tyler comes through Lance Twiggs. Okay. And they reference that. The prosecution references that the admissions by Tyler to Lance Twiggs are, in their mind, enough to meet probable cause. And when I was on this X space not debating, but having a conversation with Gary, and all these other guys chimed in and started attacking me, it was none of this evidence, in my opinion, none of the surveillance footage, none of the text messages, the Discord chats have been validated. This other person attacked me and has said, oh, you're assuming that they haven't. And then he goes on to assume that they have based on his own experience. He just says, of course they would have that. And all I'm saying is that we haven't seen any of that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. My question is, if there is more definitive evidence that could substantiate the claim that Tyler Robinson is the lone gunman, why wouldn't they have brought even just one piece of evidence that doesn't have an issue during the preliminary hearing? Yeah, in the prelim, they reference that Cellbrite did a data pull and they analyzed the phone. First off, Cellbrite is super sus. Go look into Cellbrite. But not only that, much of what the prosecution has done and continues to do is just have conclusory statements, right? They make conclusions and then they're referencing a piece of evidence and then their conclusion on that piece of evidence. But the defense only received a certain amount of evidence as of June 18th before the prelim. On the first day, the prosecution points this out. We sent them everything we had at that time as June 18th. And that by the end of the preliminary hearing, they would have 100% of what they would have up to that time. But the prosecution didn't have Tyler Robinson's phone, haven't been able to do their own, data analysis on the text messages, the Discord chats, and their own, forensic analysis on Tyler Robinson's phone for GPS locations and timestamps. And we don't have a handwriting analysis or fingerprint or DNA analysis to that stupid letter that supposedly was written by Tyler Robinson. And then he's so smart, he burns it and then leaves the remnants of it. Like, give me a break. You burn it and then you leave it. Come on, you guys. So they want you to just believe that a kid's smart enough to pull this off completely on his own. That's the story. Completely on his own. And literally was able to pull it off. If it wasn't for this whole narrative that the parents ID'd him, that the scoutmaster intervened, that they, ID'd Tyler and the rifle from these early investigative, clues that the, authorities sent out, the photos, the surveillance videos, the picture of the rifle. If it wasn't for that, they'd have nothing. And so much hinges on Lance Twiggs' testimony. And all of it is sus to me because they want you to believe that this guy was so smart that he was able to do all this on his own and pull it off, only to be the dumbest person in the world the moment he gets off of UVU campus. He would know, right? He would know. You write a note, leave it for your lover. And that's the other thing. Nothing has ever been substantiated that they were in some sort of, homosexual relationship. All of the things that have been told to us come from the prosecution, the authorities, and the talking heads, connected to TPUSA. Have you seen any kind of video or photo, any kind of proof that Tyler and Lance were in some sort of gay relationship? No. And all of the modern videos and photos of Lance show a completely non-transitioning, pretty bulky, masculine man. Okay. The old photos shown to us early on were Lance Twiggs when he was younger and had like a furry beanie on, and he looked more effeminate and to fit the narrative, right? Just like early photos they sent of Tyler was all in a maroon shirt. Were there other photos available? Sure. But they only showed us maroon shirt photos of Tyler. If this case was so open and shut, they wouldn't have needed to engage in all of the tactics that the authorities, the news, the prosecution, the state of Utah, TPUSA, and all the talking heads have engaged in to try to persuade the public, to try to, control the narrative, taint the jury pool at every turn. If everything was so open and shut and the evidence could speak for itself, all they would need to do is sit back and go like this, So, yeah, totally not in good faith, most of these guys.
You know as well as I do, this just dropped on us a couple hours ago as people noticed that this had been filed and started to read it. And what you looking through it is it's what they don't say. So this is the defense's filing against probable cause. So remember, we had the week-long preliminary hearing. All of this is just to establish probable cause. We'll have this hearing on September 1st, where the judge will hopefully finally rule, do they have all the evidence to proceed to trial? So this is a 41-page document where they're laying out their case on a whole bunch of things. And here's what is almost entirely missing from it, is any effort to contest the core charge that Tyler Robinson committed murder on September 10th of last year.
And Baron Coleman made it very clear, and so did other individuals that are lawyers, that in this case, in this brief, it's not their time to nitpick and argue and contest every piece that's been presented so far. In fact, it is accepted by the judge and the defense that every piece of evidence that's been presented thus far is honest and truthful. And so within that framework, they are forced to kind of restate some of the claims that the prosecution has made. And though that may look bad to all of us, as if the defense is agreeing or at least not contesting, they're not arguing that Tyler Robinson was on campus, that he's the one that was on the Losi Center roof, and so on and so forth. These guys have lawyers on their show. They speak with legal experts. They should have been educated on this fact. And in fact, I bet they were. But yet they come out here disingenuously and lie to all of you as if the defense is in agreement with the prosecution on all of these key facts. And that's not true. I believe Baron Coleman more than I believe someone like Andrea Burkhart or, Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett or Benny Johnson, Dana Laish, Brandon Tatum. All of them came out today with their talking point script sent to them, from headquarters, wherever headquarters is, if that's freaking Graham Allen at the Rapid Response Media Team, the Department of War from Pete Hegseth, or Erica Kirk herself, who knows? But they clearly get a talking point script because they all hit the same points. And they themselves attack Candace Owens, Baron Coleman, and others for when we come out to report on pieces of evidence that we believe point to Tyler Robinson not being it, and we're doing it honestly and genuinely, these individuals have the audacity to actually get out there and shove propaganda and lies down our throat and tell us that it's like freaking, I don't know, filet mignon. No, just take it. It's like that movie from The Matrix. It's like, I know this ain't, or that clip, I know this ain't real, but I want it anyway. These guys know that it's fake, and they're just going to shove it down your throat and tell you that it's true.
There's one page, basically one page out of 41 pages concerns that. They complain that they have testimony from Lance Twiggs, which is what's used to support Robinson's confession, his posts on Discord, and they say this is bolstered by hearsay because Lance Twiggs didn't testify in court. The judge already ruled on this. He said since it's a preliminary hearing, he doesn't need to be cross-examined in person. They can do that at an actual trial. That is the only time they're addressing evidence of murder. After that, it's page after page, all on either subsidiary crimes like witness tampering, or they're just trying to throw out the death penalty because you can't get a death penalty for murder unless there are aggravating factors. So in Utah, they've tried that he targeted Charlie over his political expression, and they've tried that he endangered other people at the scene. He endangered minors at the scene based on there being a big crowd. And
what evidence is there that Tyler Robinson had a, anti-political, anti-orthodox, like religious orthodox view, which made him want to take out Charlie? All of it is in the letter, in the text messages, Discord chats, and whatever conversations he supposedly had with Lance Twiggs right after the fact that he confessed supposedly and he felt guilty about it. However, Lance Twiggs admitted on the stand that Tyler had never brought up LGBTQ anything with him. He had never mentioned Charlie Kirk's name, not even once. And yet he was so outraged by just the hate of Charlie that it motivated him to plan this assassination in 2 weeks, carry it out, only to throw it all away in the first 24 hours after the fact, admit to everything, literally in the text messages, exonerating Lance so that he can have immunity and not be considered an accomplice during, prior, during, or after the fact. That's why, to me, and there's other reasons why, Lance Twiggs seems much more like the person that did this and tried to get away with it, right? And pinned it on Tyler. So yeah.
Firing at a long distance. That's the entirety of this briefing. So there's page after page where they're arguing, well, they literally argue at length. The evidence shows the shooter was firing in a prone position. So that means he was taking care with his shot and aiming really cautiously. And so he was not really placing a lot of other people at risk. They're basically arguing.
So the defense had to focus on what they were allowed to focus on when their hands are tied, being in Utah, and the rules governing preliminary hearings and the evidence put forth by the prosecution in the preliminary hearing in this Bindover brief in their response. They're not allowed to argue any of these things. They have to accept that the prosecution has put forth honest and truthful statements and honest representation of the evidence. Okay. So one of the things that they were allowed to do and did do was try to attack the aggravating factors, which had the death penalty on the table. And yep, they spent a lot of time going over that. But honestly, the prelim and the response to the Bindover brief is not the time for the defense to actually put forth their case, their full defense. It's to poke meaningful holes in the different pieces of evidence that, in their mind, and I agree, do not meet the bar of probable cause. And Blake and Andrew and the rest of them, and I'll show you, would have you believe that this means they've conceded, that they agree, right? So like Gary and others said that they've seen videos, and I don't know how Gary has seen a video or a photo, some sort of high quality photo of Tyler Robinson on the roof that shows his face. Okay. Just like all of these talking heads come out and say that they saw a 4K video that no one else saw. Then when they get caught lying about what that video shows, they backstep and go, well, actually, it just shows someone lying down. They claim it's Tyler. You and I both know it's freaking Sasquatch. And then you look at the timestamp and you can reasonably conclude that, oh, well, that's when the shot was taken because we know that's when the shot was taken. And then he gets up and runs off the roof. Gary and Andrew and Blake and a lot of these other guys, the whole time leading up to the preliminary hearing, Erica Kirk included, told us that there was so much evidence that we hadn't seen because no one had seen anything. We had only read court documents, which was referencing evidence, that don't worry, you're going to get to the prelim and you're going to see what we've seen. A mountain, an avalanche, right? We get there, we don't see it. Now, of course, they're going to do the same, play in the playbook. There's more evidence that you haven't seen, that we've seen, that we know exists, that can, clearly shows Tyler Robinson on the roof at that time. No, it doesn't. The prosecution can't withhold evidence, number one. Number two, the prosecution isn't holding back evidence that would open it, shut the case. They're going to risk not meeting probable cause by holding on to their better evidence that they're only going to show in trial. No. They would have you believe, and they're going to continue to come out here and say, we've seen something you haven't seen. There is stuff that exists out there that definitively shows Tyler Robinson on the roof. If they had that, they would show it. Their argument is that the defense is the one trying to keep all of this clear evidence from the public. That's not true. Okay. And Erica Kirk, when she comes out and says that she wants nothing but transparency, she knows that that's not going to happen. So she can say that and look genuine by saying that. I don't think she's genuine, but to a lot of people that quote her as she wants transparency and honesty and she wants it all out in the public. The defense doesn't want the prosecution to show and release, enhanced videos and photos, manipulated videos and photos. Lance Twigg, so his testimony, a lot of it was redacted and not allowed out because the prosecution's leading him into his answers where he's going to state that he knows for a fact it was Tyler. That's total hearsay. In other states, it wouldn't be allowed, but in Utah, it is. But none of that actually is what the defense is not trying to withhold evidence from the court and from the public. They don't want BS evidence that has been manipulated, enhanced, or that has the prosecution spin on it out. Yeah, that would slowly erode Tyler Robinson's presumption of innocence. It would taint the jury pool. And the evidence itself isn't genuine and authentic, like their John Madden, video with the circles and the arrows, and it's enhanced and it's zoomed in. Supposedly they have hundreds and hundreds of hours of surveillance footage. Gary said there's other footage from UVU that day that show Tyler Robinson clearly. Why couldn't they show us one? And then his argument is the defense argued not to. BS, dude. They're allowed to show a lot of footage that clearly was intentionally manipulated, right? It's either compressed or degraded, or they enhanced it to try to make it look better and it didn't get allowed in. Nonetheless, the videos and photos, if there was any that existed that could actually show Tyler Robinson, they would have at least been able to allow one in. We don't have one piece of video, one photo that shows Tyler Robinson. Not clearly. And I was arguing look, man, I'm not, in bad faith here. And I'm genuine that if I could see some piece of evidence that hasn't got a chain of custody issue, referencing the screwdriver. First, it was quoted as being in the woods by the rifle when it was found. Then it was on the roof. But then Officer Bagley's body cam, died or turned off before they found the rifle. The screwdriver, how the rifle was found, how many times they searched before it was eventually found. He couldn't even be honest that it actually was stated in the preliminary hearing that it was a 1943 Mauser. He's like, no, it's a modern Mauser. That's why it's all black. No. There's too many things wrong with this case, which is why I take the position that I do. Not because I follow anyone, blindly. All right. I'm not. Genuinely, these are my opinions that I've come to after watching all sides and looking at all things and just objectively, trying to discern what does it actually show? Or am I having to infer and assume by reaching a conclusion that they've reached in order to do that? So if the case against Tyler is so open and shut, they wouldn't need to get out here every day and do all of this. I'd love to hear from you guys. So please ask questions, throw in your opinions, and I'll get to them as we go.
The alleged shooter was a good shot, and so this aggravating factor should be thrown out. They argue at length, only one round was fired, and they bring in all these other cases where they say, if you're going to say he endangered other people, there should have been other people who were hit. There should have been many rounds fired. They fuss over, there were multiple rounds in the gun, but that doesn't prove anything. It just proves the gun could fire more shots. It doesn't mean they plan to endanger other people. This is what the document focuses on. There's absolutely nothing addressing the core facts that dominated the preliminary hearing, that this is a person who basically allowed himself to turned himself in after his parents confronted him, after they identified him from footage.
There's no actual proof that Tyler Robinson's parents identified him from any footage. We've seen the footage, you guys. There's not one piece of footage that even a family member that knows their son in and out could look at that photo and go like, okay, I'm 100% positive that's him. There's not one. They're all like, at best, you could say like, kind of looks like him, but I can't be sure. It's like so degraded. I can't see any defining characteristics of his face, his lips, his nose, his ears. But what we do see, in my opinion, shows someone that's not Tyler Robinson, not definitively. And that rifle early on was stated as the rifle image was that it was a stock photo pulled offline somewhere, because everyone was confused how this was this, genuine 1940s Mauser when it's like a modern rifle. And I've heard all the Fed sloppers go back and forth with why it's modernized. Oh, they upgraded the barrel. They upgraded the buttstock. They upgraded, it had a modern scope on it. Well, that's weird because, the person, the expert that testified in the preliminary hearing said it was a 1943 Mauser, right? No discussion of it being modernized. No discussion of anything like that. And supposedly the parents saw this photo and were like, immediately, that's my grandpappy's gun. No. Even if they did modernize it and this was it, that photo just shows a big black rifle. Like there's thousands and thousands of rifles just like that. Like there's no way you can look at that rifle and be like, that's grandpappy's rifle. Like if it had some sort of like initials, mark, or coloring or something different and unique about it, maybe. But that photo itself, it's also not a very clear photo. You can't see defining characteristics. It's just it's an average looking rifle, black rifle, right? The parents did not, in my opinion. Also, why don't we see a written like testimony, like a written statement by the parents that they signed? And why wasn't that presented? Why weren't the parents brought up in the preliminary hearing to testify on behalf of the prosecution, like Andrew Colvett and TPUSA said for months, that Tyler Robinson's parents were going to be called to testify on behalf of the prosecution? That didn't happen. We hear them reference these statements, right? They claim that these statements were made by the parents or by the LDS, former police officer, scoutmaster. Do you see some sort of written and signed affidavit that they did make these claims, that Tyler did confess to them? I haven't seen proof of it. That's all I'm asking, okay? I would have to assume, I would have to grant a lot of leeway that that's a factual and honest and truthful thing by the prosecution. And honestly, they and all courts and our entire government, this administration and all previous ones included, have lost all trust. I don't trust any person in government, none. So at this point, in order to restore trust in government from the public, you're gonna need to, you should feel obligated to go above and beyond to prove that you're telling the truth. Gary even admitted today that Governor Cox, Kash Patel, others associated with this case came out and gave completely inaccurate, dishonest statements. Governor Cox early on said that Tyler Robinson got on the roof, changed his clothes on the roof, assembled and disassembled the rifle on the roof. Because remember, they said that he reassembled the rifle in the woods. They still haven't left that part out. Somehow he reassembled it, but didn't disassemble it on the roof. And he did that without the screwdriver. He left that on the roof. This is the stuff I'm talking about. There are too many issues in this case to just blindly say, okay, and that's what they want us to do. Well, at least just wait for the trial. Okay, by then it might be too late for him. All right. And the prosecution, state of Utah, FBI, and this administration have lost the ability to tell me and any of us that we should wait to withhold our conclusion and our judgments until we make it to trial. If they had done everything above board and honest from start to now, maybe, but everything has been questionable. It's been like totally not in good faith, not honest. Governor Cox lied about what the surveillance footage showed on the Losi Center roof. I haven't heard him come out and correct the record. Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett said that one possible reason why the bullet didn't exit Charlie's neck was because it was an authentic 1943 Mauser, and possibly that the ammo was old as well, and that they don't know if the gunpowder was old or the bullet was old. Have they come out and corrected the record on that? No. You guys, please do me a favor while we're just hanging out. Can you guys hit the like and the subscribe pretty please? It really helps support me. It really does. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
This is a person who confessed to his roommate that he did this and that he regretted doing it. This is a person caught repeatedly on camera on the campus when it's many hours away from where he lived. And they never, ever, ever address all of the DNA evidence linking him to the rifle, linking him to the screwdriver, linking him to the towel. They don't address those things.
They're not supposed to. They did that. They did what they could during the prelim. This response was not for that, and Blake knows that. But like I said, the confessions not been validated, not been verified. We don't see timestamps. We don't see any metadata. We don't see any forensic analysis of the phones to prove that Tyler Robinson sent them from his specific phone that was in his possession at that specific time. We don't have that. All right. We don't have proof that any of the surveillance footage is authentic, genuine, not been doctored, not been enhanced, not been manipulated. And on top of that, it doesn't even show who it is in there. All right. Any confessions that were made to Lance Twiggs, that's suspect. I don't trust Lance Twiggs, and I don't trust the means in which supposedly Tyler Robinson confessed.
Things because it seems that the defense attorneys don't have a defense to offer there.
Yeah, no,
Not
and
true.
that I just want to be really clear. And I checked with the attorneys this morning.
Oh,
They are not arguing against premeditated murder. And most people would assume that premeditated murder would warrant the death penalty. Well, in the state of Utah, as Blake mentioned, you need aggravating factors. So what are those aggravating factors? That you could have endangered a minor, you could have endangered other people, that you did it because of political reasons,
or religious.
Think hate crime. That they don't argue any of that stuff. They're basically saying, yeah, it was premeditated, but there was no aggravating factors.
No, they didn't argue that, that it was premeditated, but there was no aggravating factors. Dishonest, lying scumbag.
And there was other bullets in the gun, but there's that's an assumption that he was intending to fire additional shots.
I mean, it is. He didn't fire any other shots, so he didn't fire any. Sorry, let me restate that. Tyler Robinson didn't fire any. I don't believe anyone fired any bullet. There's too many issues with supposedly a 30-06 round hitting Charlie in the neck. Okay, and I've covered that, right? We can talk about the no exit wound. We can talk about the weird entry wound and how it behaved, and there was no high velocity blood spatter. The damage that's depicted in the autopsy doesn't, in my opinion, describe internal injuries, you know, internal injuries that are, you know, oh my gosh, my brain is like fried right now. That could be, you know, explained by a 30-06 round, right? The round itself didn't measure to be a 30-06 round. Yeah.
It's pretty wild. So if other things that aren't in there, though, Blake, just to call it the elephant in the room, are so many of the conspiracy theories that have been rife on social media, right? So, for example, on page 22, one of the newest things that's percolating online from the Candace Owens crowd is that wasn't really Tyler Robinson in the surveillance video, and that the fisheye effect, you know, when you actually adjust it for the fisheye effect, is obviously somebody different than Tyler Robinson. Well, it turns out with a fisheye effect, the center of the image is usually pretty accurate. It's the sides that get distorted. So if you stretch the image, you're actually distorting the center of the image at that point. Whatever, that's in the weeds. But check this out. On page 22, it says, the video evidence shows Mr. Robinson walking up and downstairs at UVU with a gait impaired by something long in his pant leg. The reasonable inference from the evidence provided is that it was a fully assembled rifle.
What page is this? 22. Hold on. So this is Catherine Nestor. Let me go to 22. I'm going to need to zoom in. Hold on one second, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go faster. 22. Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's not nearly as big as I want it to be for you guys. Let me take this off. Go here. Ugh. All right, I'll just scroll it up so you guys can see it, right? So the state also asks this court to speculate that after scoping the rifle, it was taken apart and put back together prior to the shooting, and that therefore the shooter knew that the lack of accuracy created a high probability of risk of death to others. The state presented no evidence to support any inference that the rifle was in pieces at any time, right? The video evidence. So now they're quoting the prosecution. This is not the defense saying this, okay? The video evidence shows Mr. Robinson walking up and down stairs at UVU with a gait impaired by something long in his pant leg. The reasonable inference from the evidence provided is that it was a fully assembled rifle. The presence of a screwdriver. So right here, oh, and this is the other part is, so in this, they're really attacking that aggravated factor and not there to dispute the claim of the prosecution, because the prosecution stated this, right? That it was Tyler Robinson walking up the stairs with an abnormal gait with the rifle down his pants. They're just restating what the prosecution's argument is about this part of that day in this piece of video evidence. This is not them conceding. This is not them agreeing with the prosecution, ladies and gentlemen.
So it goes on. The presence of a screwdriver on the roof does not establish that the rifle was taken apart and put back together any more than it establishes the screwdriver was intended to take the rifle apart after. So they're quibbling over when the rifle was put together or taken apart and the presence of a screwdriver. They're not even arguing that he wasn't there. They're admitting that he was there. And
they're not admitting that he was there. They're restating what the prosecution stated. All right. Their job at this point is not to argue whether or not that's been substantiated. It's accepted. It's in, I think I've said it enough already that the evidence that's been presented is believed to be honest and truthful, and the defense is not there to argue each little piece that they haven't substantiated. And that's just another weird thing about Utah. And I think Utah was why it was selected.
The video evidence proves that he was there. So what's fascinating on multiple levels to me is the bombshell is the big E on the eye chart. The headline is that they're not arguing that it wasn't him. They're arguing that he doesn't deserve the death penalty. Okay. In my mind, this is premeditated murder. He deserves the death penalty. Okay. And they're not arguing, though, that any of these conspiracy theories, they're not arguing from that perspective at all.
He knows that that's not what the defense would do. The defense isn't there to argue other potential theories right now. It's such a freaking joke.
As a matter of fact, there's other motions that have been filed that call that stuff harebrained internet conspiracy theories. So, there's so much to take away here, Blake, but you're right. It's the dog that didn't bark.
No.
There's what's not in there is extraordinary, actually.
No.
If you're living in our existence here.
Your simulated reality, right? Your little controlled matrix. Yeah, we're not, buddy.
Burkhart, she is got some family stuff, and that's great. So she wasn't able to join. But she said,
hey, that's great. We spoke with Andrea Burkhart, but she's not going to be coming on because she had some family stuff, and that's great. Oh, by the way, I don't trust Andrea Burkhart as far as I could throw her, and I can't throw her far. I don't trust her at all. She's like Matthew Tardio. She's like Gary Melton and all the rest of them. She's out there like either on their payroll or willingly spewing this Fed slop to everyone. I don't know. You can infer that she's getting something in return. I don't know, man.
In short, the defense brief is pretty much exactly what I predicted they'd argue. Yeah. I think the one witness tampering charge gets dropped, but the aggravator sticks. Explain this witness tampering charge, what it is, and the aggravators as well.
Exactly. So the witness tampering is one of the secondary charges that was brought in this case. So obviously the most important one is capital murder, but they did charge Robinson as well with witness tampering because in his text exchanges with Lance Twiggs prior to turning himself in, he told him basically stay silent. You should get a lawyer. Don't talk to police.
And we don't know that those were sent by Tyler. Why would Tyler do that? A smart kid with like a high SAT scores. He got academic scholarships, 4.0 GPA, knows about technology, grew up with technology, knows that everything could be tracked. And he just is like, I'm going to write everything down. And even if you delete it, it's still going to be there. Okay. I'm going to write it down on handwritten paper. I'm going to burn it, but not all the way. And then I'm not even going to flush what remains. I'm going to leave that in the trash can for them to find. I'm going to go on Discord and confess. I'm going to write a bunch of ridiculous admissions. And he actually, not he, but whoever wrote that, committed more crimes. And that's what they're referencing, right? Trying to get Lance to tamper with evidence, not speak to authorities. That would be an accomplice after the fact. Yeah, just pretty stupid.
And a secondary part of this is basically that when he tells him to get a lawyer, they basically say he's not telling him this so to say, shut up, don't tell them what I did. He basically is just saying, for your own sake, you should just not talk to police. And they basically say this is an altruistic argument. You can't charge someone with witness tampering for telling them to exercise their constitutional rights. And so I guess Andrea is saying they probably have a good point on that one, and it's admittedly not the charge that we care about either. He basically just says but I think what stands out about this is by making this argument, they are admitting Tyler Robinson was talking to Lance Twiggs. They literally are quoting themselves. They say Mr. Robinson says to Mr. Twiggs, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. We hope to keep things sort of quiet here. I only hope they let you visit. And he says, I'm going to miss you. He says, like, I'm almost certainly going to go to prison.
So dumb.
All of this. Actually, what he says is, Twiggs asks him, is there any way you don't go to prison? And he says, I highly doubt it. You are all I worry about, my love. Don't talk to any media, please. Don't take any interviews or make comments. So he's basically saying, I am going to turn myself in. I'm going to prison, but you should avoid talking to anyone and get a lawyer and try to remain silent. And so they just say,
what's wrong with Blake's ear? Did this thing fall out of his ear? What is that thing? It's his earpiece.
And that is advising him to use his rights. Doesn't count as witness tampering. And I guess Andrea thinks they make a strong argument, but she is optimistic that the enhancers will stick around, which are the endangerment of others and the political motivations for going after Charlie. And again, it stands out what they don't address, for example. I don't see anywhere in this document where they mention, for example, all the engravings that he made on his bullets, which are a strong indicator that he had a kind of political motivation of it.
Interesting. Well, Lance Twiggs's DNA is on all those things. The only thing Lance Twiggs's DNA is not on is on the rifle, which a lot of people say that it was, but it's not. I looked it up. It's on the towel, the Dremel, and the screwdriver, but not on the rifle. Let's hop over here. We got too many to look at. Maybe we'll come back to him in a minute. But let's move on to the next moron. Jack.
I don't know. We could call it poetic justice, I suppose, that she's been arrested on the 9-year anniversary of her own crimes, a crime that they threatened.
All right, he's talking about something else. It's just that my little thing can't get. It's gonna come up, right? Actually, it's after this commercial. They just showed the picture.
You get comfortable, then actually you're going to feel that the next day. Maybe you weren't.
Oh my God, he's doing this little infomercial. Hold on, for the freaking bed. Here we go. Right there.
Filing in the Tyler Robinson case. This, of course, is the briefing to kind of get everyone up to speed and refamiliarize everyone with where we are in the case.
Oh, please.
So we had the initial hearing.
Please help
However,
us.
the judge has yet to make his ruling. It was decided at the end of that hearing that I attended out in Utah, in that courthouse, that hot courthouse in the middle of the summer, that in the high desert, that...
Oh, I can answer that question. But I'd love to make a game out of it. Well, let me do this in order always. Okay, let me hit these so I can not forget. Thank you for becoming a member today, PKK. Thank you for the gift, Amber. Thank you for the gift, Jackie. And Jackie, again, thank you. And again, thank you. Sonia Moore, thank you for becoming a member today. Jesus is Lord, thank you for the gift. Again, thank you for the gift. Delaney, thank you for the gift. And Dope Lemon. Brown, thank you for, or BR Brown, thank you for that. Okay, now I'm caught up. So always be true. Thank you for the super chat. Why isn't Andrew Colvett in studio ever? You guys want to play a game? Where is Andrew Colvett in this right here? Do you guys know where he is? I want to see what you guys think. Where is this studio that Andrew Colvett is streaming from? Where in the world is Andrew Colvett? I can't do it. Carmen Sandiego. Nope, not Erica's house. One of the things I've never wanted to do, like YouTube tells you, like you should set super chat goals to encourage your audience to give more. And it's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not pushing people to give super chats. But it helps, but I'm not going to do that. It seems selfish. It's not his home. Nope. Not Santa Barbara. Nope. He moved. He doesn't live in Santa Barbara anymore. His mom's bed. BB's basement. His bedroom. Nope. It's a mobile command studio in DC. Yes. Wait, where'd it go? There it is. Yes. He now is streaming from DC on the regular. Half of his time, if not more, he's in DC. Yep. Not Fort Huachuca. Nope. DC. I'm dead serious. He admitted it. He said it. So remember, it was, I want to say it was the last day of the preliminary hearing when we saw that like nice set that Blake and Andrew were on. One of the things that have also come out shortly after the Charlie Kirk assassination, I don't remember the time frame, but a lot of the people at TPUSA and that are affiliated with them got jobs in the Pentagon. Huh. You don't say. I do say. A lot of them got jobs in the Pentagon. And then all of a sudden, Andrew is now streaming from DC, and they have a mobile, studio command center in DC that he streams from on the regular. So great. Forgive me, please, but I'm so You're good. You're good. All right.
There would be 2 briefs, the state, the defense, and then the judge would make his decision. There's going to be oral arguments on September 1st, about 2 weeks' time. But the defense has filed their motion here. And from my reading, it seems that their biggest focus is on trying to get the death penalty off the table. That seems.
We don't have to watch him for long. Notice the same talking points. That's kind of my point here, you guys, is showing you that these people are all coordinating. They're either, it's either coming from TPUSA and going out, or it's coming from higher up and coming down. But you'll see Dana Loesch, you'll see Benny Johnson, Brandon Tatum, Graham Allen. We've already done Jack, Blake, and Andrew. They're all going to say the same exact talking points about this brief. And it's not an accident. Okay. It's coordinated. It's deliberate.
To be clearly what they're focused on here. I read the entire thing this morning. It was the first thing I did when I woke up and I saw this came. I read every single word of it, and now we're here to break it down. But because I'm not a lawyer, I wanted to get the best lawyer I could on it, and that's why I got Andrew Branca, host of the Andrew Branca Show. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
This guy's not the best lawyer. I'll just say that, and we're not going to listen to him. So he's annoying. We'll go here. This will be fun. Ready?
Charlie Kirk was like a brother to me. We've worked together and built together for nearly 10 years. I emceed the guy's wedding to Erica, and that same Erica asked me to sit with her at Charlie's murder pretrial in Utah.
Why do these people make themselves more important than they really are? Okay. Asked Benny Johnson to sit with Erica. No, we saw them leave the courthouse. Erica is sitting next to Charlie Kirk's mom and dad, and then her family. Benny Johnson didn't sit with Erica at all. It was one row of seats. Okay. It didn't have like a defense and prosecution side. It's a small courtroom. That's why there was only 14 people in the public that could camp out and get seats in there. Erica, I think, also knew that. And they were going to allow her to request as many seats, I think, as she wanted. And so she invited upwards of 10 people, right? We have, well, so Charlie's parents, I think, wouldn't count. They'd have their own seats, but then you have Erica, and then you have like her aunt or her sister and her niece and nephews that were there. And who else was with them? There's a couple more people from her family. And then you have Jack Posobiec, Brandon Tatum, Graham Allen, Benny Johnson, Benny Johnson's wife. She filled up as many people as she could in that courtroom to leave as little room available for the public. Okay. She wanted more of her talking heads in there to go out every day and lie to us than allowing members of the public. So transparency. She cares about transparency. Allow us in. You don't need 5 of your talking heads. You just need one talking head, and he can go report to the other talking heads, and the result is the same. In my opinion, it was deliberate to allow less and less members of the public, alternative viewpoints and perspectives in there, to come out and argue what really was shown in court each day. But Benny Johnson wasn't sitting with Erica, just so you know.
Last month, and that's exactly what I did. And I told you the truth about what happened in the courthouse.
He's got to emphasize that. I told you the truth about the high def 4K crystal clear surveillance footage of Tyler Robinson. You could see him. You could see the sweat dropping down his brow because it was 90 plus degrees that day in Utah. It was high noon, sun directly above him, beating down on him. He's wearing all black, long sleeve and pants. Also has a jacket or, some sort of like whoopee or something like that on. He had a backpack and he's carrying a towel with him. I told you the truth. You could see his face as clear as day. You could see him lay down in the prone position. You could see him pull the trigger. You see the recoil. You could see the muzzle flash. You could see it all. Benny Johnson told you the truth. You heard it right here. I told you the truth.
That day, and the demonstrable evidence that the prosecution has. And now something truly stunning has happened. The defense agrees with me. Isn't that shocking? Ladies and gentlemen, what I said, and I caught a lot of heat for this,
Yeah.
by the Charlie Kirk murder industrial complex that is making an obscene amount of money lying to you about what's going on and what happened in the courthouse that day, decided to come after me for explaining precisely what the prosecution has, which is
No. Everyone came after you because you're a freaking liar. And we know it. It's proven. You said back in September that you can't even identify whether it was a male or a female in the clearer images of the shooter. Okay. In the eagle shirt walking down the steps and up the steps. You yourself said it's grainy, pixelated. Like these aren't really good. You can't even tell if it's a man or a woman. You and Trump early on said that this footage is basically useless trying to ascertain who this person is, to identify them. Trump says it's but an ant. It's as small as an ant. We were starting from ground zero. None of this surveillance footage helped us at all. And then you come out 10 months later saying it's the same footage, super clear, crystal clear. We can see it all.
is this. You can see Tyler Robinson on campus that day. You can follow his movements from various different security cameras. Some of them are really good. Some of them are not as crystal clear, but all of them show Tyler Robinson's car, his license plate, his face. They show details of his clothes.
We don't see his license plate. This guy is such a demonstrable liar. We don't see one video or photograph of the license plate. And in fact, the different videos and photos of the car don't match Tyler's car. The body kit on the car that was there that day is different from the body kit, which is like a trim package. You can customize this when you buy cars. It also comes on different levels of the car. The exhaust pipes were different. No verification of the license plate, not one. And the cameras that lead into and lead out of those parking garages have the capability specifically to photograph the license plates to identify cars. Literally. Yet they don't show us one. Yet they show us videos and photos of a car that doesn't match the exact description of Tyler's car. None of the videos and photos that day show you anything specific about Tyler Robinson. Like you cannot tell who that is. You can tell that it's a human. I mean, you can't even necessarily tell that it's a woman. I agree with Benny on that. But now he's out here telling you that you could tell everything.
Clothings and his actions on the rooftop. This is what I said. And this was a horrifying thing to watch because we were just feet away from Tyler Robinson as the Kirks wept together, Charlie's mother, father, and wife. Tyler Robinson with his pale, sallow, sunken, emaciated self sat staring at the floor.
I have to sneeze. Hold on. Pineapple, elephant. Look into the light. Look into the light. Okay. Did anyone here ever actually watch Benny Johnson before? I never did. Have any of you actually ever trusted Benny Johnson before? The way he's going about this seems to be pretty standard for him. And so I can't imagine that this is like a new thing he's trying on. Like he sensationalizes everything. He oversells emaciated, sallow, pale. You know, he's sunken in his seat. He's succumbed to the guilt and he's accepted his defeat. Saying that stupid Sasquatch video supposedly traumatized Erica. No. A dude this big, blurry, pixelated, don't know who it is, running, crawling, taking a nap, waking up from the nap and running and jumping off the cliff. That video's traumatic. Why? because you have to imply and infer causes there that like, oh, that's where he shot Charlie. You see that? Officer Bagley tried to lie on the stand and say like, oh yeah, you could see the rifle. Catherine Nestor's like, hold up, wait. The video we just watched, you could see the rifle? And he goes like, well, you see this like long, hard, it's like a rifle. And then she's like, under the blanket? And he's like, he was like, oh, you can't tell that it's a blanket, but you could tell that it's a rifle under the blanket. Got it. Literally all you can tell from that footage is a dude climbed up, ran, crawled, laid down, and then ran again. That's it. Everything else is inferred. There's nothing inherently traumatic about that video. Nothing that would actually make Erica break down in tears. That's sensationalized for multiple reasons. She is what was it called? A grief asset, or what was it? The Department of War wanted to capitalize on Erica being some sort of like grief or victim asset. It also was sensationalized to imply that Erica and the parents are like this. They sat them next to each other. That wasn't choice. They didn't walk in together. Charlie's dad pulled away from Stacey Sheridan. Get your freaking claws off me. You sunk your claws into my son. Don't freaking touch me. No one walked in with the parents like Erica didn't. They never are seen together. They're never seen comforting one another. And they know that. Benny knows that. So he's going to lie and say, okay, they're trying to resolve issues that we've brought up over the last 10, 11 months. How come Erica isn't comforting Charlie's parents or vice versa on the tarmac? How come Erica and Charlie's parents aren't comforting one another at the White House in the reception of the Medal of Freedom? How come we don't see any comforting going on at the memorial? How come we don't see any videos or photos of them together? You see Stacey Sheridan and Erica Kirk, space, Charlie's mom, Charlie's dad. Always. But he's going to lie to you and say, whoa, in the court, you just didn't see. You got to trust me. The guy that'll lie to you about this video. Trust me. They watched this video. So traumatic. She cried. Charlie's parents comforted her. Shut up, Benny. You're such a tool, dude.
Not even a hint of remorse. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler knows that he did it because Tyler's own defense team knows that he did it. They just filed a brief with the court because the court is heading in to decide whether Tyler Robinson will be facing the death penalty. And effectively, this filing says, we're pleading for mercy. Yes, Tyler Robinson went there with the intention to kill Charlie Kirk. Yes, Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. He was there on campus. He was there that day. This is him in the security footage. We agree with the framing of all of the evidence that was presented. You can see that. I mean, exactly what I described to you. Here is Tyler Robinson's defense using the same arguments and the same evidence. Saying here, ladies and gentlemen, for instance, you can see Mr. Robinson, not a figure, not Fed slop.
Bro, these people are either A, extremely uneducated, so narrow-minded, also so corrupt and dishonest, probably all of the above, that they're all just going to restate the same thing and quote that same couple passages in this response by the defense and they have their own lawyers come on, the same lawyers that have come on their show over the last 10 months that are going to hold up their end of the, the narrative and Fed slop away, sloppy slop, and say the same thing. Oh, Tyler Robinson's defense admits they agree. They don't contest. They concede. That's not what this shows. Period. Oh, my little light went off. I'm going to have to fix that.
Not some agent or whatever, some Mossad guy, but like literally Mr. Robinson in the video walking up and down the stairs at UVU with a gait impaired by something long in his pant leg for reasonable inference from the evidence provided that it was a fully assembled rifle. This is the defense writing this. This is the defense. And we're going to zoom out here and show you exactly what because effectively what they're saying is that Tyler Robinson went there to kill Charlie Kirk.
Nope.
Charlie Kirk was killed.
Nope.
But he didn't mean to hurt anybody else, and that he shouldn't have to face the death penalty for that.
Man, these guys are so dishonest. It's crazy. Let me get to this right now. Matt channeling his inner Zach Costello, priceless. Where was I doing that? What did I do? I like Zach. Zach's cool, man. Did you guys know that Zach was managing his... Okay, so I played baseball growing up in like Little League. Zach actually made it to college and played at a much higher level than me. But there's a thing called the Little League World Series out here in the United States. And it's basically, so after like Little League, there's all-star teams. And those teams all play against each other. And then you go to like, you know, your area, then your region. And then if you make it on, you go to Williamsport and you play on this beautiful field. It's televised. It's so cool. And Zach Costello was managing his son's team and they made it pretty far, but lost. But we were talking about it the other day. Zach's cool, man. I like him a lot. How was I channeling my inner Zach Costello? What did I say? I'll take it. That's a compliment. So I appreciate that. Joe Filicetti. Can you imagine Benny's face in court when Officer Bagley said, "You can see this long heart"? Benny probably yelled, "Objection!" I need to see that video. Yeah, because I mean, Benny Johnson, a lot of these guys seem to be closeted gay men. Like, it is what it is. That's not even me like trying to be, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but it just seems to be obvious, you know, as they say, as clear as the noonday sun that Tyler Robinson did this. Benny Johnson's a closeted gay man, and his wife has him like this. That's why she was like standing behind him, like shooting him with daggers through her eyes, making him, you know, like that, like a confession tape on the 5th day when he gets out there and lies through his teeth about that video.
This is what they write in their filing with the court. Here we go. It says that actually the best evidence that the court has that Tyler Robinson was there to kill Charlie Kirk that day is the videos that I described to you that were played in the...
Do you not understand what the defense is doing? Come on, you guys. You guys see it, right? What she's saying, what the defense is saying is a couple things. First off, she can't argue anything about the evidence that the prosecution has put forth. I've already mentioned that. What she's saying is that the best evidence they have is this crappy evidence, this junky surveillance footage that clearly doesn't identify anybody. You cannot determine who that is at all. And that's their best evidence. That's what they're arguing, is that their best evidence is junk. It's junk. Come on, Benny. Low IQ.
Court that were not allowed to be released at full quality and resolution.
He's got
Mr. Kirk was struck.
It wasn't allowed. We got to see full quality resolution, but it wasn't allowed.
By a projectile in the left side of his neck, and his injury resulted in death. This is...
If they agree to everything, why don't they say bullet? Right? Why do they say projectile? Why do they say bullet?
Tyler Robinson's defense team writing this, okay? So we can put that one to bed, right?
No, we can't. They're referencing the evidence from the Bindover brief that the prosecution stated. That's all that's happening, Benny. How dumb are you?
Floating microphone. The best evidence of the events of September 10th from the Utah Valley campus are the videos.
And the videos suck. That's what she's saying. That's what Catherine Nestor or whoever wrote this response is saying, that literally everything else really sucks. Like, really sucks. But the videos are the best thing they have, and those still suck, Benny. How do you not know that? They suck. You can't tell who that is. Jane Seth Rupert. Matt, do you think Ben Shapiro is the spin master for Neff and Colvett and Benny Johnson? If not Ben, then who? They all say the same lies. I suspect Ben is directing Andrew Wilson's actions and words too. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, in the hierarchy of this administration, are you saying that Ben is above Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Kash Patel, anyone in the actual administration? Do you think that old Benji, old buddy, old pal is above Bibi Netanyahu? Or above members in our intel services, departments of our government, whether that be at the Pentagon, the Department of War? I think that gives, I mean, I do think Ben is like a total agent, right? Foreign and domestic, Mossad and CIA, in my opinion. I don't know that he's running the show. I think if he were running the show and giving talking points, he would have done a better job. I'm not trying to give him too much credit, but I mean, you'd have to argue that who's smarter, Ben Shapiro or Andrew Colvett? I know that's hard to do because that means you actually have to say one of them is smart or smarter than the other. But it's like, you know, that's like saying two dummies, like which one's less dumb. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking anyone to actually say that Ben Shapiro and Andrew Colvett are smart. I promise you. I think it's probably a team effort. Maybe they crowdsource it. They do have these group chats and text threads that they all partake in. And I bet it's like a decentralized command structure. Like Brian Harpel said, like everyone gets to feed in along the way. And it's like, okay, like this is what we're going to say. And it gets revised until it gets agreed upon. And maybe Ben has the final stamp. Ben and Jeremy Boring. I don't know. That's a good question. Kathy, thank you for becoming a member today. I wish someone working at UVU would leak a recent random video surveillance of the campus just to show the quality of image. Probably 4K and not potato. I think that's a good point. That'd be great if we had other UVU surveillance footage to compare this to. Gary said that, so today on the X-Base, he did say that the surveillance cameras on that campus are high quality and that they do show like very clear images. He says that he's seen a very clear image of Tyler Robinson. I don't believe him. If they had one, they don't have to show the one of him shooting a gun. Can you give us one clear image of Tyler on campus at that time? Just one? I think no, they can't, because none of the people on campus were Tyler Robinson. They have to intentionally degrade, compress, alter, enhance videos to make them to where you can't see who they are. Or if they ever send one out this late in the game, I will be heavily suspect that they've not been altered. Okay. Joe Filicetti, serious question. If Tyler Robinson happens to survive this and is found not guilty, he would have all these people to file defamation lawsuits against. They never say allegedly and want him executed. Yeah, I mean, doesn't someone, in order for defamation, they have to be a public figure first? Right? Like he's a public figure now, but not by choice. So I thought one of the prereqs of defamation is that the people have to be a public figure in order to defame their public image? That's a good question. I think that just on the basis of the claims alone, not saying my opinion, not saying allegedly, that, yeah, it would fit defamation in that regard. I don't think they're going to let him live. I don't know. Man, I go back and forth with what is going to happen. Flex, please have a watch along of the Charlie Kirk Show South Park reaction episode. Stars Charlie Kirk, Andrew Colvett, Blake Sneff, Jack, and Tyler B. They hated Charlie. It's obvious. I can't play something else that it's monetized. The South Park video. It's copyrighted. I can't play that. I have played a portion of the reaction before, but it's hard to navigate because they like play parts and you hear it in the background and then you see video. And I had to edit it after the fact. That's how I know, because I got in trouble from YouTube for it. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I'll say is that tomorrow I'm having Stu Peters and Matthew Tuzzaroni on. Friday morning, so I don't know if you guys know this, but the debate between Candace and Andrew is happening at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That is 7 a.m. my time. I've already created the link in the thumbnail. I'm going to watch it live, and we can all hang out together and make fun of Andrew and cheer on Candace together. I think that's a better way to watch it than through, just ourselves. We can get frustrated together and cheer on Candace together. So that's coming. And then I have a debate with someone coming up, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it on Friday if I'm going to be up at 7 a.m. So I'll try to find a way that I could possibly show the reactions of Tyler, Jack, and all them. Yeah, I think they all were jealous of Charlie. They were jealous and they had disdain for him, and they didn't respect him. Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
See this?
See this?
Okay. Here's the filing. You could read it
You can read it. It says Benny Johnson is gay. I agree.
for yourself. Link in the description.
Benny Johnson is
the
gay.
compilations of UVU surveillance footage, the exact ones that were played for me and everybody in the courthouse. The surveillance depicts the roof of the Losi building and the walkway between the Losi building and the computer science building.
Yeah.
The shooter is seen going over the railing, separating the walkway from the Losi roof, exactly as we described it.
Dad, are you watching right now? Pops, are you here? Pops, if you're here, throw in a chat or something. I wonder if I can say this on the my dad is hilarious. Ben Gay. I love it. That's hilarious. My dad wrote me something. Can I read it? Can I read it out loud? It's funny. Benny and Andrew both whistle when they speak. Yeah, I know. Read it. Okay. It has one word. It's not a cuss word. It's a word for a male chicken. Okay. So just FYI, if you're watching this on your TV, that's the word. You know the word? Like cock-a-doodle-doo, but just the first part. All right. It is believed that Benny Johnson was asked what he liked most about chickens. Supposedly, he said, the cocks. My dad's funny, dude. He cracks me up. All right, let's continue. Oh, thank you, Carmen. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one.
Of the video. Each of the videos then jump when the figure is seen running west across the Losi roof. The figure drops off the roof and begins to crawl to the western ledge of the roof, going both south and west. The shooter reaches the edge of the roof, although the additional body positioning on the ground is visible until approximately 12:22.
dang, you
This
guys.
is described as a prone position on the gravel rooftop.
It is described as a prone position. All right. Hey, you guys, we have 699 people in here and we have 411 likes. You guys can help me out better than that. Can you guys hit the like? Those of you that haven't, if you haven't done it, can you hit the like? It's how you help support me. It's free. All right. I try not to spend too much time on that.
For 15 to 30 seconds, he is in the prone position.
He took a nap.
The figure gets up and then begins running to the northwest corner of the roof and drops off the Losi building.
Yeah, the figure, not Tyler Robinson.
The shooter was in the position of the southwest corner of the Losi rooftop for approximately 35 to 44 seconds. A clear line of sight between the tent and the Losi rooftop.
Why can't Benny Johnson be honest and say that, like, obviously in the other portions of this brief response, they're referencing the statements and claims from the prosecution's Bindover brief when they say Tyler Robinson. Because here they say the alleged shooter, they say, what was the other one? Alleged gunman, the figure. Clearly they're not agreeing to everything that the prosecution has said. And I think I've beaten that one down. I don't need to keep rehashing that.
Oh. Okay. So what does this say? This says that they admit the state's evidence show Tyler Robinson on campus in the security footage with the gate. And that the rooftop evidence is the strongest evidence, and the surveillance video footage is the strongest footage, exactly as I said here.
Yeah, which sucks. It's the worst.
This is the strongest footage and evidence for the actual prosecution. And what do they go on to argue in this 20?
That you suck. Hold on.
Page document.
Yes.
And here it is.
Here it
ladies
is.
and gentlemen. What do they go on to argue? They go on to argue that Tyler Robinson didn't mean to kill anyone other than Charlie Kirk. And that just because he hated Charlie doesn't mean he wanted to hurt other people or had a political motivation. That's what it argues. It doesn't argue, shockingly, that Charlie was killed by an exploding microphone or an Egyptian plane, that Charlie was...
You're an idiot, dude. Enough. Enough is enough is enough is enough from Benny freaking Johnson. Renita here. She pointed out something I totally forgot about, because in the week of the preliminary hearing, Brandon Tatum said that he'd be willing to debate anyone. I reached out to him specifically. I've emailed, sent direct messages, and said, challenge accepted, my dude. Let's do it. Crickets. Andrew Wilson did the same thing. Well, Andrew Wilson did a little bit worse. He's like, sure, let's do it. And then he tries to argue out of the debate prompt, and then he loses, and then he just disappears on to bigger and better things, I guess. But yeah, Brandon Tatum has never responded and said he'll debate me. So cool beans, man. Honest people being honest.
They say that's him. He gets caught with text messages showing that he texted that he did it.
Oh, I got to back up. Sorry. Where is it? Right here?
Full of sugar honey iced tea, to be quite honest, and I'm watching it online.
What?
The amount of people that's going to get sued over this is crazy to me.
Really?
I just saw people saying, just making up stuff. And it's sad. Let's get to Tyler Robinson. We're going to get to a couple more clips on the Nolan Wells thing, but let's get to Tyler Robinson real quick, because
let's do it.
This is another thing that chaps my rear end. Every time I think about how stupid humanity is, it's mind-boggling to me. I want you guys to put this in perspective real quick before we get into this.
Okay.
If someone came out in the Nolan Wells case, just say it was one of the boys, and they came out and they went to the police station and said, I want to turn myself in. And his mama and daddy go down to the station with him. His mama and daddy, because they have surveillance video of him unaliving Nolan, they say that's him. He gets caught with text messages showing that he texted that he did it. his girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever way you go, there's text messages and a testimony from the boyfriend to say he did it. And then they find DNA on a murder weapon. DNA on the murder weapon that ties the murder weapon to his house.
Can you at least be like fully transparent, Brandon? There were a minimum of 4 DNA contributors on the rifle, upwards of 6, and Tyler Robinson's was the most degraded. That means it's the oldest one. It had been exposed to the elements the longest. That doesn't make any sense. Not if he supposedly used that rifle that day, and then that rifle was found within the next 24 hours. It should have been the strongest, the least degraded. The text messages, confessions, and all that are heavily contested. I contest it. They're suspect. They haven't not been validated and verified. And like Gary and his little minions came out and they're like, how do you know that Cellbright didn't do it? I'm like, you do? And he goes, well, it says that they did it. And I'm like, okay, you've seen the results though. You've actually seen the forensic analysis of the phone and that it proves Tyler Robinson had the phone in his possession at the time and that he's the one that sent those text messages. It doesn't make sense that the person that could plan this in 2 weeks, carry it out successfully, get away with it, is the same person that would be the dumbest idiot in the world in the following 24 hours. Let alone that he would literally write everything down that he would need to write down to pin him and him alone to this as the lone gunman. He assigns himself motive, right? That it was, some hate can't be negotiated out. Premeditation. He had been planning it for weeks. He admits to it. And then he engages in other crimes, trying to get Lance to not, tell anyone. Yeah. What, Gary's here? Hi, Gary. Is Gary in here? No, he's not. Hopefully he's not. I don't bother him on his show. I guess you could be here if you want. Just don't be a tool.
Where there's other evidence of the crime. Would you guys be in denial that that person killed Nolan? No. Then why are people in such denial in this Tyler Robinson case? Make it make sense. New developments are out now because the defense team filed additional filings to try to get the death penalty off the table. I want you guys to know that yours truly has said this from the beginning, not because I'm an oracle. It's because I have enough common sense to understand what facts are before I start running my mouth. This is a death penalty case. The only thing Tyler Robinson and his family is doing is trying to not get him put to death. They have not contested worthy of anything, any of the evidence. Roll the clip.
So attorneys representing Charlie Kirk.
All right, we already heard this. So they're all playing the same clip. That's great.
Also objects to the use of hearsay evidence, including that videotaped interview with Robinson's roommate and romantic partner, Lance Twiggs, who told investigators.
Fox and all of these media, networks have no problem lying to all of us. We have no proof that they were in a relationship, that this guy doesn't look like he's transitioning at all. Looks like a total heterosexual, masculine man, doesn't show up with his hair and ponytail, doesn't wear effeminate clothes, wearing a freaking suit and tie. Like nothing indicates of a gay relationship. In fact, he doesn't know anything specific about Tyler. It's like they didn't really know each other, let alone were engaged in some sort of intimate relationship. Okay.
Robinson confessed to the crime. The defense said the state failed to prove probable cause by reliable evidence and that therefore this case should not proceed. Everyone is back in court on September.
Yeah, we know for the actual oral arguments.
For him not to get the death penalty. I was in the trial. I watched the defense team not bring up an iota of conspiracies.
That's not their job.
They did not challenge whether he was shot with 30-06. They did not challenge whether or not video evidence was actually him.
So they did contest a lot of things that they were allowed to do. They have to accept in the preliminary hearing in the state of Utah that the evidence put forth by the prosecution is honest and, authentic and genuine. But they clearly do contest the round. They're like, they bring in the actual forensic analysis people to really show what the DNA forensic analysis showed and what it didn't show. The prosecution did not bring on the forensic experts. They allowed Detective Hull and that Polynesian detective from the SBI, Utah State Bureau of Investigation, simply read their conclusions from the results. Okay? They did not bring on the experts themselves. The experts themselves would have told you that round that retrieved from Charlie wouldn't have fit a true 30 caliber round, a true 30-06 308 round. The base measured at 0.286 to 0.301. The DNA evidence is heavily suspect. Multiple people's DNA on all different pieces of evidence. Tyler's is the most degraded on the rifle. How's that possible? If he's supposedly the last person to touch the rifle, how's that possible? They clearly don't agree with the conclusions of the prosecution. They contested all of the surveillance footage by showing what it actually shows. But I mean, they didn't argue it in the way that you wanted them to. But they clearly agree that you can't tell who that is. You can't tell if he's got a rifle or not. If anything, you can tell he sure as heck doesn't have a rifle. He's got a freaking, his blankie with him, his comfort blankie. Freaking Tatum.
They did not challenge the fact that he turned himself in and his parents identified him individually. And Lance Twiggs identified him, which was presented in the court of law.
No, Lance Twiggs said, I can't be sure, especially from the videos. I can't positively identify him. He goes, but those last two, he goes, it sure looks like Tyler Robinson. Why couldn't he have just given a positive ID? Does this, why? Oh, well, the prosecution didn't ask it the right way. Does this look like Tyler Robinson? Or I forget how they worded it, but he doesn't say, yes, that is Tyler Robinson. He says, it looks like him. But before that, he goes, I can't be 100% sure. He does have Converse shoes just like that. He's got pants, not those pants, but he has pants. He's got shirts. He doesn't have that shirt, but he does have shirts. And he wears a hat and sunglasses, but not those ones. So, I mean, yeah, it looks like him. Just like it looks like any other freaking 20-something-year-old college white Caucasian male in a blurry, degraded video. It could have been anybody.
All of these things that they presented were admissible in court. None of the things that people are saying that are lies or whatever that was objected to.
Oh, he's going to straight out call out Candace.
Hold
on.
Now, here's another thing that chaps my ashy elbows.
Oh, chaps his ashy elbows. Okay.
Somebody sent me this clip of Candace Owens. And I will say,
here we go.
I have attempted to say certain things in an attempt to get Candace to not believe people who are not trustworthy to send her stuff. Now, she played this on her show.
Wait, I have talked to Candace Owens in an attempt to get her to not believe certain people that aren't trustworthy that send her stuff. So he's saying that he believes Candace Owens has been just mistakenly misled by dishonest people in the public. Candace Owens is smarter than you, Brandon. She's smarter than you and all of your little cronies put together. Your little, caveat that, so you didn't address anything then. You didn't address her claims. You didn't address her accusations. You didn't address her allegations, or her calling out TPUSA and Erica Kirk. You said you tried to get her to understand that she shouldn't trust everyone that's not trustworthy that sends her stuff, as if she's dumb enough to just put anything on the screen that she hasn't verified and checked out herself that she doesn't honestly believe. You're an idiot, dude.
And it's unbelievable. I want y'all to watch this clip. Roll it.
Better believe it.
I'm going to show you from that parking garage is what this person looks like, because if it was less compressed and blurry, which is what we were shown, you might realize that he's kind of a bit broad. Take a look at this.
Look at Brandon's face. He's such a smug SOB.
Oh.
Pause. I put my life on this. My life, my kid's life. This is not the evidence, picture, video footage from the court. I was there. I watched it. I watched the prosecution move to enter it into evidence. It was admissible into evidence. The judge permitted it. The defense did not object to it. No one argued that this was enhanced or anything was afoot. This was authentic video, verified and accepted by both the prosecution and defense. This is a fake picture. This is fake. Fake. Everybody that was in the court saw this. A matter of fact, this is not some super spooky, top secret, nothing. I don't know why people are confused by this, because most people are either lying to you or you didn't watch the trial. The video that they showed the world was the same contextual video that they showed us, that they did not show to the public. The only difference is they zoomed and they put circles around people so we can easily see.
That's not even this video. The video that they zoomed in and put circles around is the freaking rooftop surveillance video. That's not this video. This guy, bro.
Who these people were. The reason why, and I want y'all to clip it and put it out for the world. The reason why there is a video that was presented to the public and there was a video that was not presented to the public is because the defense
didn't want the truth. You can clip this face of Brandon right here. There you go. On behalf of me to the rest of the world, you're welcome. You can clip that. Okay.
Argue that any level of enhancements can be biased, although they are the same basic footage. The prosecution argued that the only difference is that we zoomed it and we put circles around it so you can identify the people that we're talking about. Nothing.
Why would you need to zoom it and put circles around it if it's so clear? If it's so clear and crystal, 4K high def, why do you need to do anything to it? Why did Kash Patel come out early on in this investigation and say that the videos and photos were enhanced? Huh. Why do anything to the footage? Gary Melton said that the quality of these video cameras, these surveillance cameras on campus are really high. Very high. That's weird. We just get crappy footage. You guys get to watch the good stuff. We get the crappy stuff. That's not suspicious.
Was altered on the video. The judge said, I'll play the unenhanced for the world to see. And we will not display the one that was enhanced, because the world can enhance whatever they want with the base footage. Erica Kirk, as a victim advocate for her husband and her attorney, argued that in the courtroom, there's a big screen TV that's like 40, 50 feet away from where we're sitting. And if the video isn't zoomed, we can't see it very clearly. It is not fair that the victim advocate is in court and cannot observe evidence. And
well, that's weird, because you also said that when they showed it, it was crystal clear and you could see everything. But even the one that we saw, you said the same thing, that in court it was clearer, that we were watching a video projected on a screen through a camera that's 100 feet away, and that through that compression and upload and all that, it degrades the quality of the photo. But that in the video, that in court, you could see. She sat front row. How bad are her eyes? Why would the video be that bad? Even when they just zoom in of the surveillance rooftop footage, why would she need to argue that we need to see the enhanced video? My argument is that she knew, like, they're not as dumb as they look, but they are as evil and as corrupt as they look. Okay. And she knew that by arguing for that and having her lawyer and the prosecution argue, and I don't think it was an accident. Do you guys want to know the other reason why it wasn't showed to us that day? There was an accident that the prosecution did the day before where they accidentally showed a piece of evidence. Lance Twiggs's, well, Tyler Robinson's, but I think Lance Twiggs wrote it. The handwritten letter. It was not supposed to be displayed on screen for us all to see. They did. And so as a response, the judge said, well, we're not going to, show certain things to the public today. Well, they showed everything except for that thing. That's the thing that didn't get showed to the public. And Erica Kirk knew that. Okay. She knew that she had her little minions there that could attest to the clarity, how defined it was, how easy it was to see that it was Tyler, how gruesome it was. You could see him pull the trigger and all that. She knew that none of us were going to get to see it, and that we would have no way to determine whether it was what she's saying it was. She didn't account for the two people, Brandy Siciliani and Billy Webb, that were in there and were able to argue what they saw, and that it literally was just zoomed in, not higher quality. They were in the courtroom. So make that make sense.
Fair and reasonable way. So the judge ruled, although we put out the first video for the world to see, the enhanced version will play it for people who are in court.
Yeah, that's not sus.
It wasn't only Erica. It wasn't only a few people. It was the entire court, but not disseminated to the world.
Yep.
We watched the video together. It was zoomed in enough for us to see certain things. Put the picture back up there. This was not a video or picture presented in court.
What a scumbag. The only video that was shown to them in court that we didn't see at home was the enhanced, zoomed in, Losi Center surveillance rooftop video. This was not one of them. The photos and videos that were presented in court that we did see, what Candace has argued is that they were compressed. And in fact, I could even pull up an X post. Let me go to my bookmarks. Let me find the side-by-side of one of them. Let me find it. So many bookmarks when I find stuff that I want to save and show. Got to scroll down. There was a lot that happened today online, so I got to scroll down. Hold on. Hold up. I just saw one that I hadn't seen before. That's interesting. Hold on. That's not the one I wanted to show, but just give me a second. From inside the court, I'm trying to find the side-by-side of the one that they showed in court compared to the one that Candace showed. And, oh, my contact. Hold on, I'm getting there. I'm sorry, guys. Did they not do a side-by-side? I swore they did do a side by side, but the one I have just shows. I'm going to pull it up. Hold on, but it shows the uncompressed ones that Candace released, and it just shows the difference between them all. All right. So this shows the uncompressed video, and you can see that it's uncompressed by like the way that the cars look. And the other ones, the car's front ends looks like a freaking, like a cartoon. I'm trying to remember if this one's compressed or not. I think it's not compressed. This is clear, and you can see his hat being high and his white leggings. Yeah. I don't know where the other ones are that are non-compressed. But what Brandon is arguing is that he's comparing like apples to oranges, like these garage, parking lot videos with the rooftop surveillance footage. It's not the same. That's the only one that was shown to them and not to us, not these.
Whoever sent this to Candace Owens, you are lying and you're deceiving people.
Okay.
I don't know what you didn't enhance this with, but this is not what we saw in court. Play the clip.
And I want to be clear, we did not edit these in any way.
Correct.
Okay. This is no editing.
We
We're
saw
not
her.
making it. It's not.
Okay, then beyond that, if the government is so super spooky that they, come on, baby, big screen. If the government is so super spooky that they have the capacity,
they do,
to frame an innocent boy and convince his parents to snitch on him and say he did it, somehow coordinate text messages to say he did it, get his lover to say he did it, get his DNA on a gun, the bullet, all of that from different agencies that do not work together. You're talking about local investigators. You're talking about university police, county, municipality. You're talking about a crime lab.
Here's the thing. All reports get written, and ultimately, before they make it to their final destination, get funneled up the chain of command. All pieces of evidence go through the same process that eventually, before they get put on the record, before they get processed and sent to the prosecution, they're going to go through the highest person in that chain of command. All you have to do is reference Lee Harvey Oswald, JFK. That's in 1963. They can do it. They did it then. They could do it now. Okay. Look at what they did to the January 6th, that autistic kid. Framed him. Okay. Las Vegas shooting. Never been told the truth about that. Martin Luther King and Teddy, right? Kennedy. They can ensure that it doesn't have to be everyone involved, right? These people write their reports and then they get sent off. Parts of this investigation are handled and controlled by key people in each, department. Yes. And yes, we don't trust them. Look at what they did with COVID. Look at what they've done so far. Like, are you telling me you don't believe that the government has ever coordinated a mass lie? Look at 9/11. Are you kidding me? They can't pull this off. But the reason why there's issues and mistakes is because it's still done by humans, and there's a human element, human fault. So not everything is going to be done perfectly, but it doesn't matter because in the end, they're going to have everyone either bought, paid, blackmailed, threatened, and going to do what they tell them to do anyway. So even though all these mistakes were made and God's intervened and Charlie's intervened on our behalf, that doesn't mean that they didn't collude together to pull this off just because there are errors. The presence of errors and mistakes doesn't prove that this isn't a coordinated, operation frame job on Tyler Robinson. Okay. It just doesn't mean that. Let me see. I want to catch up on all these real quick. Thank you for the gift, JV. Thank you for the gift again. Okay, if this was a grand jury hearing behind closed doors, we wouldn't even know anything at this point. Plus the hearsay issue, weird as Utah. Yeah, that's why it had to be Utah. It had to be Utah. Thank you for the gift, Tiffany. Thank you, or Tiffinator. Thank you for the gift. Laser Queen. Wait, he said he say 4K crystal clear. Yes. Is it possible Tyler Robinson will just be transferred out of prison if found guilty? Like, who's GM? I know JE is Jeffy Epi, and it's all just a psyop. What? Anita, are you saying you think Charlie's alive? I mean, I think it could all be a psyop as long as, I mean, for me, that Charlie's not in on it, though. Like, he's not alive somewhere allowing all this to go down. Like, I don't believe that at all. So I think if it is a psyop, yeah, but it's not a psyop that you know, Charlie's in on it. All right, let's move to the next thing.
I saw today. This is kind of crazy. So the
Charlie
Kirk's murderer, his defense filing was released.
His murderer
attorney submitted it yesterday after the preliminary hearing. And it is actually insane. I've been reading it. And Lorraine's been following it as well.
Bro.
So the guy's defense is like, well, it shouldn't be a death penalty case because he only meant to kill one person. So the defense has just abandoned the idea of defending this guy at all.
No.
Now they're trying to argue just to save him from the death penalty that, oh, well, no, it actually only meant to go after one guy. So you can't kill him for that. That's wild. But you know who's the biggest person hit? It's Gal Sharpton. Her whole little narrative world of clickbait conspiracy theories just coming down in tatters, all due to the guy she's trying to defend and trying to free.
And she says Gal Sharpton. She's talking about Candace Owens. Such a pocket racist right here. Such a hidden racist. It's like not even like subtle. It's insane. The disdain they have for Candace is insane. What do they all have in common? They're Zionists. They believe that you should just trust this administration, even in the presence of clear and obvious lies. That you should just trust Bibi Netanyahu and those individuals running the country in Israel. Even though even Charlie said he doesn't trust Bibi. He believes that there was either a stand down order or something worse in regards to October 7th. And that Bibi had a mandate to ethnically cleanse Gaza. Charlie, with every breath, always questioned the government. I think that's what put him in such a really weird predicament, was that his whole brand and everything who he was always questioning the government. And now he has this administration in that he helped to get in, who promised all these things. And now we're not delivering on them. And he was questioning the war in Iran. He was questioning Gaza. He was questioning Jeffy Epi. He was trying to question this administration, while at the same time supporting his friends and defending that Trump and JD were going to do the right thing. Just wait. I'm trusting them. I'm going to trust them. They said they're going to do the right thing. I'm going to back off for now. But they said they're going to do the right thing. Okay. He was put in a really difficult situation where, if allowed to stay alive, it was seriously only a matter of time before he realized that they lied to him on all of it and was going to question all of them and start pointing all the lies. And he would have had text messages, phone calls, conversations. Can you imagine the information that Charlie Kirk was privy to? Can you imagine how that they tried to persuade him that they were going to do the right thing, that they weren't going to go to war, that they weren't going to do regime change, that they wouldn't do Venezuela, Maduro, that the Jeffy Epi thing was just it's coming. Don't worry. Trump's not in it, but it's coming. We're getting there. Just trust us. And then Trump, when Emmanuel and Brigitte are in DC, calls Candace and tells her to stop. Trump calls Charlie and tells him to stop asking questions about Jeffy Epi. Stop about the Iran war. You got to stop, Charlie. Huh. And he's like, oh, you know, I'm going to trust you. Unbelievable.
They're saying that, well, the great risk of death aggravator that enhances this is, well, no, he only fired one shot and he intended to hit Kirk and nobody else was hit. Thus, there was no quote unquote great risk of death to anyone else. That's their whole argument.
She's so painful to watch.
About this weird story. And the reason I'm bringing it up right now is because I have another thought to this. I was thinking about this. Like yesterday, I was sitting writing a piece on this and working on.
Okay, I'm done listening to her. Sorry. I know I can't do this either, so just don't worry. We're not going to listen to them in full.
Charlie, be happy with the way I've gone about things and the way that I have done things.
Oh, wait, hold on. He goes, hold on.
And it just, they're still doing the work, man. They're still getting people to check their registrations.
Oh, wait, hold on.
The more I think about it, the more and more I don't like it. And I'll get into why I think that is here in a minute. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of stuff to talk about, very short time to do it. You know, the other day it was the 10th and it was the 11-month anniversary, if you will, since Charlie was assassinated. Obviously, we're all dreading next month, September 10th. It will be the year mark since Charlie was brutally taken from us. And I found myself thinking the past couple days, I wonder what Charlie would think about where we are. Not just with the admin, not just with this new DSA rise on the Democrat side, but just where we are in total, right? I think he would be so proud of his wife, Erica. I think he would be so proud of Turning Point USA, despite all the noise, continuing to build, continuing to launch new initiatives. They're still doing the work, man. They're still getting people to check their registrations to turn out to vote. They're expanding. They now have their first men's conference that's going to happen. They just launched Turning Point Communities, which I think is really cool. You know, once you get out of college and high school, what do? We've talked about this a lot. I think he would be so proud of his wife, Erica, in that regard, and the leadership there at Turning Point USA. I think it can be pretty well stated that Charlie would not be happy with probably just about everything else that's going on. And even then, in reflection, I have to wonder, would Charlie be happy with the way I've gone about things and the way that I have done things? And it just, man, it's been one of these things.
You can't make this up, you guys. You just can't make this stuff up. Charlie is proud of Erica, proud of TPUSA, and above all, proud of Graham Allen. Proud of Jack Posobiec, Benny Johnson, Brandon Tatum, Andrew, and Blake. But he wouldn't be proud of Candace Owens. No. He wouldn't be proud of Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massey, Joe Kent. No, but he's proud of them. Yeah. Okay, buddy.
Where Charlie was always the voice who kept me from going total 11 like I always wanted to go with people.
Oh, okay, so you're crazy.
And as I've gotten older, I like to feel like I've adopted some of that. Obviously, I still am always going to be a bit more ranty than Charlie would have ever wanted me to be. And, and so a lot of people would want me to be as well. But I got to thinking about some things, and there's just something I got to say.
Oh,
and
here
I
we go.
hope that you guys will allow me to say it, because it's just my heart in the moment of where I'm at. Am I allowed to do that? Just give me a yes or no in the comment section.
You're going to do it anyway.
Me doing that for a moment, but I just got to be honest. As I am leading up to, or as we
hold on, I love this right here. No, that's a perfect picture of him. Charlie would be proud of Nicki Minaj. Yes, so proud of Nicki. JD Vance, the assassin. What is that Freudian slip about? Please explain what that was about, Nicki. Did she ever answer what that was about? Yes, Jim Carrey. Buckle up your buttholes, everybody. Brought to you by Graham. I'm not gay, I swear. Alan.
All are leading up to the 1 year mark of Charlie passing. Obviously, that will be to honor Charlie. But at the 11-month mark, I just have to say, I was reminded of how many people jumped for joy when Charlie was murdered. And I was reminded how many people celebrated. And I was reminded how many doctors celebrated.
Yeah, it's actually the same people that Erica Kirk has partnered with, like Barry Weiss and Hunter Kozak and what's that, Brandy Zardzanski, whatever her name is. And all of these people on the left that Erica is now giving exclusive interviews with, is somehow partnering with. You're right. I do remember that. Why would Erica be working with these people? I don't know, Graham. All right. The next thing I just want to show you, it's just to remind you that Patrick Bet-David is not objective. He is not impartial. This is him with this guy, freaking Ben freaking Shapiro. You know, like here, let's go to, I can type in when he talks about transcript. Let's go here. Candace Owens. Let's go here.
Different October 8th than Israel had done October 6th. And that's what drove Tucker Carlson to where he is, or Candace Owens to where she is, or something. I just don't think that's true. As far as things that Israel has done wrong, I mean, are we talking internally or externally? Because I could name it.
How do they talk like this all the time?
A dozen problems inside of Israel.
Give me any direction you want to go.
Okay, fine. I mean, internally in Israel, they have obviously major problems, including the fact that they have an entire sector of the population that is ultra-religious that refuses to serve in the army, and that's terrible. That's an internal Israeli problem.
Gosh, this guy is so painful. What's the next thing he says about Candace Owens? Hold on, we're not going to do this guy very long. Don't worry. Oh, when he says, when Jeremy and Caleb fired Candace. Sorry. You were part of that, buddy. You're not going to take credit for it now. What's the next one? We'll go here. Called out Megyn Kelly.
Called out Megyn Kelly, and then that's when everything started. After you called out Megyn Kelly, and that became a open.
That was about the Candace Owens attacks on Erica and all that. Yeah.
Right. That was. I remember that
on her show.
In regards to going back to hero villain, and I want to move on to the next topic. Who would you say had the biggest impact of causing somebody to look at you as a villain? Let me just give the names, and then you tell me.
Sure.
Is it the exit of Candace? How it happened? Is it October 7th, Israel, you defending Israel? Is it you? Is it Tucker? Is it more the fact that there is no real enemy today on the right because Trump won? Who do you think had the biggest impact of you becoming a villain?
How come the answer wasn't Ben Shapiro? How come that wasn't an option? Freaking Patrick. Wait, it's not even a possibility that the reason why Ben is a villain is because of Ben? You couldn't even be honest and add that as a possibility. Obviously, he's not going to choose that. But if you want to do your journalistic duties and be honest and transparent and objective, obviously, one option would be because of Ben. Ben is hated because of Ben. You couldn't even offer that as an option. I'm concerned about this debate. He's an Israeli shill.
Again, I will attribute this to just giant fissures that have emerged inside the conservative movement.
But let's put Fuentes in there as well. I would put Nick in there as well.
I mean, listen, all those people are detractors of mine. You know, some of them personally hate me, I assume, or have spoken about personally hating me. I'm sure that's had an impact. I'm sure there are things that I've said that I could have said better, because that's true for everybody.
Yeah, Charlie hated you too, buddy. All righty then. Let me pull something up. All right. Let me add this on. All right. Don't hate me if I'm going a little bit less than I normally go tonight, because obviously I'm like moving a lot in my chair. My body is sore and I'm still recovering. And then I have tomorrow with Stu Peters and then Friday early morning. So we're at that part of the show where we're going to watch Charlie Kirk. All right. If you guys haven't done so already, please hit the like and the subscribe. Please, it is the best way to help support this channel. Also, after the video is done, you can, if you could, write a comment, throw an emoji in under the video. It helps the algorithm. And you can hype the video for free as long as you haven't given away your hype points. You get 3 per week. At least saved 1 for me. You know, you got Baron and Candace, save 1 for me. Or all 3, you know, but I'm not going to be selfish. All right, here we go. Charlie Kirk.
Was that there were a bunch of subjects and 1 ruler. A bunch of subjects and 1 ruler. A bunch of subjects and 1 ruler. The founder said, what if we make a bunch of rulers and a couple people that are subservient to the rulers? What if the people are the rulers? Never happened before. You see, it continues, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. Continues by saying, we hold these truths. Let me stop right there. The founding fathers believed that there is the truth. Not, as the college kids would say, well, my truth, or my truth is this, that there is one truth, that there is one way. And they believe that to be Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. You see, there is a fair amount of revisionism where people say, oh, the founding fathers weren't even Christians. You know that 55 out of 56 of the founding fathers who signed the Declaration of Independence were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians?
Yes.
55 out of 56. They believed that Jesus was Lord, and out of that belief, we got this form and structure of government. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Now, let me stop there. That was a raging insult to King George. We hold these truths to be self-evident, but you don't get it? You see, we can use our reason to know in a self-evidentiary way that the moral right of government is not how we've been living. And then here comes the kicker. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words that changed humanity. And you cannot get these 6 words in a test tube. You cannot get these 6 words through a math equation. You cannot get these 6 words by using the scientific method. Of the entire Declaration, these 6 words are what separates America from the third world, what separates our promise of government from every other promised government, that all men are created equal, period. Now, where would one get an idea like that?
The Bible.
Because we all have different talents and skills. We might look different. Some of us are tall, some of us are short, some of us are fit, some of us are not so fit. Some of us are good at sports, some of us are not, because they did not mean that we have equal blessings from the Lord. But they believe what Genesis 1:26 and 1:27 says clearly, and what it says later in the New Testament, which is first, that we are all the same type of thing. That every human being has a soul.
Yes.
The idea of human equality is that, King George, you don't get to rule over us unless we give you permission. Because we're all equal. You're a human being the same way we are. How many of you grew up hearing from a parent, oh, they put on their pants one leg at a time just like you? That is, by the way, it's a beautiful thing to teach a kid, because that's essentially saying the human equality truism in a different way.
Yeah, Carmen Sandiego, 100%. They did try. And so I don't even agree that Charlie Kirk is a martyr. That's the story they sell. Okay, that and you can go Google or look up in, you know, AI, or just go look up in scripture. It tells you what are the qualifications for a martyr. He wasn't refusing to denounce his faith in Christ. He wasn't murdered specifically because he was a Christian, right? And because he refused to denounce Christ as his Lord and Savior. That's not it. They wanted to make him a martyr and a Jesus-like figure. He's just a man, a good man, but just a man, just like all of us. He was better than most men, but nonetheless still a man, right? A flawed human, okay? But they wanted to make him like Christ, a Christ figure, a Messiah figure, a martyr, right? They wanted to make Erica like Our Lady, like Mother Mary. They said that time and time again. She said it. Megyn Kelly said that Erica's closer to God, that she hears God better than the rest of us, slumming it down here. And then these pod pastors came out and tried to make themselves apostles. Andrew Colvett himself and Blake Neff compared themselves to the apostles in the days after the crucifixion. He said they knew exactly what the apostles were experiencing after the crucifixion, that they were experiencing the same thing after Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is a narrative that they've been trying to push on all of us, and it's so sad that so many well-meaning Christians have bought it hook, line, and sinker. Hijacking someone's faith, manipulating someone's religion, their spirituality, is the most evil thing. That's a sheep in wool, a wolf in sheep's clothing, a false teacher. James Cadiz claims to be a prophet, says that he hears directly from God, and then he tells us what that is. You need to go support Israel. Full stop. No matter what. No matter what. Frank Turek's not a traditional pastor, but he does put himself as some sort of Christian model, right? That knows scripture like a pastor. He does apologetics and tells you, like Jack Hibbs and Greg Laurie and Rob McCoy, what you should do as a Christian and what you definitely shouldn't do if you're a real Christian. You shouldn't listen to Tucker. You shouldn't listen to Candace. You shouldn't believe any of this. You need to support Trump. You need to support the war, and you need to support Israel and Bibi. You need to support TPUSA, Erica Kirk. You need to, be on board with condemning Tyler Robinson as the lone gunman. And if you do and question any of these things or do any of the opposite of this, then you're not a real Christian and you're demonically possessed, led by the evil one. Satan is your father himself. It's not a Christian thing to do. It's just not. Yeah, I saw it, by the way. Did I read it all the way? I think pod pastors were so delusional that they thought the public could be tricked into Charlie Kirk being a proxy for Jesus, Erica as Our Lady, and the pod pastors as apostles. Did you see that too? I did. 100%. I'm only going to be able to play a little bit more of this, but this is the one I'm saving, and we'll continue to watch this until we finish it over the next couple shows, okay? My back is cramping up.
They have to go to sleep at night just like you do. They have to brush their teeth just like you do. They're the same type of thing. They're not an angel. They don't have supernatural powers. When they say that all men are created equal, as it says in the New Testament, by the way, neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, Gentile, but we are all one in Christ Jesus. Yep. We are Gentile, all one under the family of God. That God.
Yeah, but these Zionists would have you believe that no, there's a particular group of people that are set apart different than the rest of us. That even after Christ's sacrifice, the new covenant was established and we're all grafted in. We are one in the same. They would have you believe, these Zionists, is that no. They're still set apart in a different way than all of us. They're God's chosen people. None of us are God's chosen people, just them.
God does not look at us as our differences, but he looks at us in just one of two ways. Are you saved or are you unsaved?
Well, that's a good distinction. What about all the people that refuse to believe that Jesus Christ was God? That he sacrificed his life as God, fully man, fully God, and that sacrifice was sufficient for all mankind's sins, past, present, future. And that in order to make it into heaven, you accept that as fact. You accept him into your heart. Allow him to be your savior and the Lord, master over your life. What's up with all the people that refuse to do that? They won't even say his name. That's why they have such issue with saying Christ is king. Jesus Christ is king of everything. Why can't they say that? God differentiates between saved and unsaved. Charlie Kirk.
Those are the only distinctions that God cares about when we get into the afterlife. Are you saved or are you unsaved? All men are created equal. Now let's play this out. If all men are created equal, then all of a sudden the form of government that you then institute is a lot different if you believe that some people are better than others. If I were to now apply it to today, our current leadership class in Washington, D.C. does not believe that you are equal to them.
Same with Trump, same with JD, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, all of them, the ones running the country still fit into that same category. They think they're better than all of us. We are their subjects, their slaves, their cattle. They don't believe that they are responsible to us at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to make it through further, but I made it as far as I can go tonight, all right? I love you guys so much. Please do me a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, write a comment, send an emoji, hype the video. Pretty please. Tomorrow, we're going to have Stu Peters and Matthew Tuzzaroni. It'll be at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. That's when Stu could make it. So it'll be 7:30, so 30 minutes later than normal. And then on Friday morning at 7 a.m., it's super early, but I'm going to do it. We're going to do a live watch party of Candace Owens debating Andrew Wilson. We can do it here, hang out, make it fun, make it more enjoyable. Enjoy watching Candace destroy Andrew, and we can make fun of him together. All right. And then I have a debate with someone as soon as I can get it finalized. I don't know if it'll be Friday, maybe Saturday. I'll let you guys know. All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. I love you guys so much. You guys are the best community on the internet. And I appreciate you guys for everything that you do, showing up every day, commenting, liking, subscribing, hyping the videos. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. God bless you guys tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.